All right, welcome back to Lecture 4, Drawings. So, contract documents. Let's talk about documents that are typically found in construction contracts. So, what are construction contract documents? They are written documents that define the roles, responsibilities, and the work under the construction contract and are legally binding on parties, which are typically the owner and the contractor. So, the contracting documents include multiple items. There's the agreement, which is basically the contract between the owner and the contractor. Then you have conditions of the contract, which are typically general conditions, supplemental conditions, and special conditions. Then you'll have your project specifications, which are usually broken into two divisions or two volumes, I should say. Division 0 through 1, which is usually your volume 1, which is your front end spec. That's your project requirements. And then you have volume 2, which is your technical specs, which is usually 2 through 48. That's when you get into actually all the materials of the project. Everything from demolition to concrete to steel, all the way up to Division 48. Then you have your contract drawings, also referred to as plans. Then you have your bid documents. This is what you use to solicit your bids, which is your invitation to bid, your bid form, and you'll identify unit prices and things like that. And then you have your pre-contract revisions, which are called addendum or addenda. If it's one addendum, you might have more than one. Usually, on most jobs, you'll see on average 5 addendum, um, but hopefully you don't have any. But usually you have some. Some projects have way too many, and I'll I'll dig into that a little bit further as we get along in this section. So then you have post contract documents. So the last slide talked about all the things that you prepare going through the bidding process. Okay, now you picked a contractor. Now you post contract documents. So I broke them up so you can understand before and after. So now you're going to award the contract. We talked about this in the first kickoff part, where you have a notice award and your notice to proceed that initiates the project. Then, as you're going through the project, if things change, you might have a request for change, otherwise known as a proposal request, and any sketches that go with it. Those will then morph into modifications, contract modification, where you have CCDs and change orders, and I'll get into that a little bit more. And then you may have supplemental instructions or ASIs. This is when the architect issues an instruction about something where he wants to clarify something that may not be in the contract document. So, for example, he might say, "Oh, the walls are painted," but he never told you the color. He might have told you the type of paint, the finish, the sheen, whether it was Benjamin Moore or Sherman Williams, but he never told you the color. So that's something that ASI would do. Was they're supposed to provide a minimal amount of information that doesn't result in the change in terms of cost and money. Then you have your submittals. We'll talk about those as well later on. But submittals usually include your product data, samples, shop drawings, things like that. Then you have coordination drawings. This is something prepared by the contractor where he takes all his trades and he basically builds a model of the project, helps identify any collisions. Then you have your schedules, which we talked about those already. Then you have your closeout documents, which is your certificate of occupancy, your as-built drawings, and your warranties, owner and maintenance manuals, and then record drawings. And then the last item is your bulletins. So bulletins are, in my opinion, a made-up term because they're not referenced in any contract and not a legal document traditionally. But you see them more and more. Basically, they're kind of like a glorified RFI response that typically includes sketches and changes, but they're not called a change request. So make sure you read those. They usually evolve into a change order, but I don't know, for whatever reason, engineers really like to send out these bulletins. But I talk about that more in my other course I have called How Owners Can Hold Designers More Accountable. I get into some of this stuff in more detail. Feel free to check that one out as well. Design drawings. So, what are some types of design drawings? So, design drawings are typically divided into multiple phases. First phase is schematic design. That's when you want to start a project. You don't want to invest too much into designing it because you don't know what's going to cost, you don't know what your options are. So you do some preliminary floor plans, maybe some quick renderings, maybe some MEP narratives to tell you how you envision the building systems to work, and then you can get a price on it. Then when you get that price, it kind of gives you comfort level. How do I want to move forward with this project? Then you get into the next phase, which is design and development. This way you get into more detailed drawings. You start massing your materials. Is the exterior walls going to be brick? Are they going to be CMU? Are they going to be hardy board? You draw a few wall sections so you understand how the wall's built. Are they metal stud? Are they CMU backup? Are they wood framed? You might get in some room and door numbers so you can start tracking some of these things. And then you get structural design. Is it a steel frame? Is it a post, wood post, heavy timber kind of thing? And then you might get some schematic HVAC drawings. So that's kind of design and development. Then you get in, and usually you get an estimate at that phase as well. Gives you an idea, refine the cost a little bit. Then you get into the next phase, which is your CD phase, which is construction document phase. And there's often broken into 30, 60, 90. Those are percent completes of the design. The more the details, you get more and more details. You start developing, finish schedules, door schedules. You start assigning wall types because you might have fire rated walls. You get into some interior elevations, what things are going to start to look like. You might have some soffits and stuff. You get into some foundation details, some section details, your plan details, finish details. All the details of the project come to life. Roofing details, stuff like that. Then you get your detailed MEP drawings and details as well. And then you get to the bid drawings. This is kind of the final set of drawings that go out to bid. Now, in my opinion, bid drawings are not 100% complete. A lot of people think bid drawings are 100% complete. They're not. And there's a reason.